Beijing evading Washington's sanctions. China's top nuclear weapon research agency has been getting a hold of U.S. microchips, even though access to them is restricted. Some of the chips used for research related to nuclear stockpiles. NTD's Julia Song has the details.
Despite U.S. sanctions, China's top nuclear weapons lab has been able to get hold of American microchips in recent years. That's according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. The Nuclear Research Institute is called the China Academy of Engineering Physics, or CAEP. It developed China's first hydrogen bomb and has been under U.S. sanctions since 1997. Still, it has been able to acquire U.S. microchips in recent years. The agency reportedly used the microchips to analyze data and generate algorithms. Some of those U.S. chips were used for research related to nuclear stockpiles. The microchips are made by American tech giants like Intel and NVIDIA.
It's important to recognize that CAEP acquired these chips from resellers within China.
Some of these chips are easily obtained from one of China's largest e-commerce platforms, Taobao. They're not the most cutting-edge chips, but China doesn't yet have the ability to mass-produce them itself.
The Chinese Communist Party can go around U.S. sanctions. It goes through many middlemen agencies. It uses tactics to obscure the end users of the products it wants to get. This is fraud coming from Beijing.
The chips that used by China's top nuclear lab are the same general chips used in personal computers. That's according to chipmaker NVIDIA. The company told the Wall Street Journal that no company can control where every personal computer ends up. China is the world's largest microchip importer. It bought over a third of the world's chips last year. A military expert in Taiwan says tighter restrictions could be on the horizon.
I think the sanctions on microchips for civilian use would be tightened if Beijing continues to use those chips for military purposes.
Though another expert said it could be difficult to tighten the rules without hurting U.S. companies.
When you consider the fact that, a third of the American semiconductor industry sales go to China, at least in 2019, China accounted for 36% of sales. If we are totally cutting off our ICT companies from the ability to supply Chinese vendors making commercial ICT products, then we're only harming our own companies. Because every dollar a U.S. company earns from sales in China is one that a Chinese competitor or other foreign competitor doesn't earn. It's money that American companies don't make, then that they can reinvest into future generations of R&D and innovation.
In the meantime, Beijing has been rapidly expanding its nuclear capability. The Pentagon said China's military could have 1,500 nuclear warheads by 2035, up from the current estimate of over 400.
The Chinese regime is also ignoring America's proposal for nuclear talks. It also refused to join nuclear talks between the U.S. and Russia. It's posing a serious challenge to Washington.
Wang said Washington must cut off Beijing's access to microchips for nuclear weapons research. Otherwise, the nuclear threat coming from Beijing will continue to grow. Juliet Song, NTD News.